our third featured reader. It is my pleasure to introduce Austin Messick. And Austin is in his third and final year as an MFA candidate in poetry at SFSU. He had the pleasure of co-curating Velro last year with this evening's 3 fabulous featured readers. Austin has been lucky enough to have his work published in Transfer, Cipactli, I should have asked about this first. How?
That's right, yeah.
Okay, Cipactli, and Troop. During the spring 2015 semester, he was honored to receive the Mark Linenthal Award for his poem, Kiev. Please welcome Austin.
Thank you, Jenny. Thanks, Dirk and Sophia, and Jenny and everybody that's here. You've done an amazing job. Looks fabulous. And this is probably the biggest first Velro crowd that I've seen. I've been coming here. This is almost 4 years to the day that I walked into my first Velro. As a scared little undergrad who didn't really know much about poetry. Now I know just a little bit more. So it's very fun. I'm happy to be here. So thank you all for joining us in this experience. This is Open Window. Cue rain, cue shadows. Winter was books and the radio. My sister borrowing my gloves and losing them, the teary face she made. Winter was a dead bird on my sheets, the cat's gift through my open window. Winter was candles in the living room day and night, 4 layers my brother's hand-me-down when mom decided she needed more. Candles, not brothers. Winter was dad buying me baseball cards even though I hated baseball but loved him. Winter was building card castles and learning how to watch what I build fall apart. Winter was the girl that smiled at me from across the street, the girl that kissed me on my bedroom floor when I felt like all the world's snow would melt. I feared she would leave me alone with my window open. After my grandmother died, Window was standing pallbearer to her coffin before I knew what a pallbearer was. It was raining, which felt like one of those bad movies where the weather reflects the character's emotions. I gave her a final kiss on the cheek. For the first time in my life, she didn't give me a lipstick kiss in return. Winter brought my first tears with meaning in them, sitting alone in my room with the window open, waiting for the light to change. And that is after David Ignato's Story of Progress. Most of my work is based on somebody else's work in some medium, so you'll hear a lot of afters after the poems that I read. This is Elizabeth. I am slowly forgetting the light in your eyes and trying to ride on mornings the sun lies on the lake like laundry on my bed. I am not sure if painting the town red pleases me as much as your quiet parades. How am I to celebrate nothing with the fanfare of an American with only a television as my landscape? Heads of state speak like circus aerialists perform, changing the daily game, and I understand none of it. Elizabeth, it is so dark in the Alaskan night. I have become the snowfall. I think of our evenings on the Kenai, drinking Cabernet under a familiar sky, till the sun dipped in horizon's sweet indigos at 1 a.m. Tonight, I have nothing to keep me safe from the flow of my life. I am not ashamed, just angry that the well is dry so early. I do not know our probability, but I cannot make my way to the lever and pull. It's after Maxine Chernoff's American Heaven. It's in the library. If you can read it, it's there. This is Firelight. The living secret is a symphony playing within a shell, buried beneath a mountain of empty shells, on a beach a universe long. An old rabbi, disturbed by visions of the source, retreated to the depths of the darkest cave to understand his thirst for firelight. The phenomenon of seeking the mountaintop, he said, relies on our seeing a single moon in each pond we see ourselves in. Remember, our home in the harbor becomes our death on the beach. And that is after the Gospel of Thomas. This is Kiev. February 20th, 2014. As many as 39 people have been killed in fresh clashes between protesters and riot police in Ukraine's capital, Kiev, shattering an hours-old truce. ABC News. That was my brother on the television. Did he see the smoke rising? Did he hear the alarm howling? That was my brother on the television, in his favorite leather jacket and his only pair of jeans. That was my brother on the television. With a plywood shield, I watched him walk, shoulder to shoulder with two of my cousins toward the men in riot masks. The air cracked with 50 caliber gunshots. That was my brother on the television, lay next to my cousin Yuri with bullets in their chests. That was my father on the television, kneeling between my brother and my cousin with a hand on each of their heads, weeping wet prayers as if his touch would open their eyes. And more cheery. The cherry blossom. We may watch the clouds sculpt lightning into glass idols whose names the trees do not call, their dining tables and chairs in perpetual motion. What happens to the words we cannot bear to speak? Do they live in a sonorous house built for fostering the ineffable? We will not sign the Commission of Chaos. In the Garden of Cherry Blossoms, we reclaim our resolve. I want to write sacred poems with the sound of my dancing feet. I want to find my place in the body of love. His final section is from a project I've been working on that will probably be my thesis, I think. We call it persona poems, character poems, intersection between poetry and fiction. Call it what you want, but enjoy it. So this is the prologue to the selected poems of Duncan McKnight, edited by Eli Castillo. Prologue. On March 18th, 2012, my roommate and best friend Duncan McKnight woke me up at 3:33 a.m. in minor hysteria. He wholeheartedly claimed that spirits had come to him in his sleep and bestowed upon him a cosmic poetry. He spoke of angels and demons in a language that had never been uttered by any human being, that this language and the poetry created with it was his divine gift. These writings, he said, would be his great contribution to mankind. Similar instances continued nearly every night in the 3 o'clock hour for about 6 months, till Duncan's parents and I agreed that he should receive mental help. His mother tried for 2 years to rescue him from his delusions. As a renowned psychologist in her own right, she let him live in their basement guest room and conducted therapy sessions every morning. During those 2 months, Duncan continued to wake his parents every night in the 3 o'clock hour to tell them of his latest visions and revelations, until he was committed to Sunnyside Hospital on April 22nd, 2013. After entering the hospital, Duncan's visions became more frequent, and he transcribed them as he had all the others, translating what he could into our language. This continued until his suicide on April 22nd, 2014. He was 25. No one but Duncan's mother and his doctors had read his journals during the 2 years after his first vision. His family has entrusted them to me to find what substance and what truth may lie in the scribbled pages of the man I called my best friend. I have done my best to select the most vibrant and the most intelligible of Duncan's writings. These pages are what remain of his transcriptions, translations, musings, and poems from this time. The selected works of Duncan McKnight, edited by Eli Castillo. It is hell that I dream of with wish and teeth. Hell's board of directors conducts inquiries into death's dealings and the perversions of living in mirrors. I know my death watches me as I sleep. When a man loves his own death, he kisses the lips of abjection. He exists as an urn filled with dried roses and grasshopper carcasses. He walks in a desert of dead stars. No wind may move his hair, nor wine taste his tongue. This is difficult to translate. Ila isokoro alo voaka elomido. He who is alone in the mind is alone in the body. I hail from unplowed fields growing wild in winter's haze. I gleam with fluent grace until my malevolent shadow blots out my eyes. Intrinsic prohibitions habitually halt my forward march. This writing does not belong to me. What haunts my dreams stands undaunted before a nameless God. I have seen a dove perched on the nose of a snarling stone hound, rabid for Hercules' heart. Afola no ila teregrelus. No hero's heart escapes the hounds. This mirror turns to vertical liquid at the witching hour. When I step through it, I am a bamboo skiff on a river of skin. Ko'elu awalake sufelu pojoko bataba oko. The wasteland is paradise for those who bathe in fire. I hoard rivers in my throat. I sing alone with another's voice. This body is not my body. I belong to no one, not even myself. I am a stone skipped across an endless pond, a blade of grass that reflects momentary sun rays in the wind. The lark that lands on a swaying branch sings my real name. When I die, all who knew me will barely notice my eyes receding into a word. Thank you.